remarks by Neil Ross, and then we'll have some questions.
Thank you. The G8 and G20 summits cost $1 billion. It costs costs money to play on the world stage. It's interesting the idea that we're losing our cultural icons. Tom and I had this debate before. This is the first time in front of adults. But I very much recall his rationale that as long as William Shatner was working, Canada's culture was safe. I don't think that my reason for wanting to retain the symbol of the crown in Canada has to do with closer political ties to Great Britain. As I've said earlier, I think the defining moment in Canadian history was the moment when Canadians from one side of the country to the other said, we will not join the United States of America, we will not join Great Britain in this illegal war of an invasion of Iraq for oil. And that was a moment when we really did sever our ties with either of these countries. And we said, in a profound way, because people rose up, people did march in the streets for this, I know I did. And across the country, with one voice, our politicians, without having a referendum, without going and knocking on our doors, without phoning us up and saying, do we very much support or not in the least support this moment in Canada's history, we're about to make a moral decision. It was one country with one voice. That's a grown-up country. And it was a moment when we said to both of these superpowers, the one that we are historically related to and the one that we just can't get away from, that we are not going to join you when it does not reflect our values. I believe we retain those values, we will always retain those values, and that the crown is a valuable way for us to remind ourselves of how we achieved them. I really think this is a non-issue. I think there's so many more important things to deal with. We talk about democracy in this country. Here in the city of Toronto, we have one vote that is where someone in the Yukon has 10 votes because of the way that we're divided in terms of the geography. We still have not achieved responsible government, that great Canadian contradiction in terms, because we are voting for parties that are not well reflected in Parliament. There are so many other important issues that we have to face. This one really is a no-starter. And it's great that some important Canadian journalists have pontificated about it, but in our hearts, we know that history is not unimportant. It's not irrelevant. It's something that defines us, and it defines this country. And the Queen isn't all of our story. The monarchy isn't all of our story. LaFontaine, Baldwin, the people that created the democracy here, that's our story. But we did it without violently seceding from the monarchy. The crown was an important symbol as we defined ourselves as loyalists, and it remains an important symbol to keep us separate in the all-important destiny we have to remain an independent voice for peace on this continent, in this global village. God save the Queen.
Here, and I think we'll take questions. You can direct your question to one or the other, or it can be a statement of your own if you like.